last week in the Krispy Kreme National Series on 4th of July weekend. It was an absolute bomb fun at the Homestead Miami Speedway, where we ended up finding out who the 12 drivers will be in the Season 4 chase. And now, for the next 8 races, these 12 drivers will try to become a Krispy Kreme National Series champion. And it all kicks off, as we always have, on the channel at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway and for the Brickyard, and at the Brickyard. And it is the Gainbridge 330 laps on tap around one of the most famous racetracks in the world. What's up, everyone? It's boy Racing 97, aka Nathan Stapleton, and welcome to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and welcome to the Brickyard. And it is time to kick off the Season 4 Krispy Kreme National Series chase. And what a season it has been up to this point. And we gotta see of how the chase all unfolds. We got 4 speedways, 3 shortcuts, and 1 road course. So a very even chase, and we gotta see of how it all shakes out here from now until the middle point of September. Normally, this is the regular season finale for these National Series drivers. At least last year it was, but this year, this is the opener. So we gotta see how it all shakes out. 30 laps on tap, pit stops around lap 15 to lap 16, and we gotta see what ends up happening. We got Matthew Cooper up here in the booth. He barely missed out on making it in the JBL Cup Series chase, but we do have 2 drivers of our own here for Alpha Prime as a chase spot. So how do you think this chase will go with the points we set entering here at Indy?
It's gonna be very interesting to see how the chase goes. Chris Martins and Duncan Ward, 2 of the most dominant drivers, arguably the 2 dominant drivers of this season, are the only 2 with a sub 10th place average finish. But now they have a points reset. Chris Martins has a bit more of a buffer with that 20-point cushion with winning the regular season championship, but yeah, with most of the field being on pretty equal fun, gonna be a bit of an opportunity for the rest of the field to catch up.
Yeah, absolutely. We gotta see how it all shakes out, because it was a very competitive chase. There was very competitive race to the chase. There was easily 20 cars that could have made it into the chase, 20 to 22, and obviously only 12 make it. So I will just briefly shout out guys like Caleb Owens, David Dixon, Eve Ralford, Anthony Hernandez is on pole here today, Carson Miller, Kyle Craven, Alexander Rowland, Ayers, Eli Bright, all those guys. That's going to be a 8 to 10 car battle to see who ends up being the best of the West and finishes 13th in points in the end of the season, and we gotta see how it all shakes out. The 12 chase drivers are as follows, and they will have a Krispy Kreme reddish, pinkish spoiler, banner, and splitter for the final 8 races of the season. Chris Martins has a 20-point lead over Duncan Ward with the chase reset, 2,075 points. Duncan Ward 2,055. Ben Watson 2,045. Chris Jericho 2,035, along with Logan Williams. Chandler Pollin, last week's winner, got his first win of the season, and a fairly consistent rookie season for Chandler Pollin. And himself and Charlie Davenport are tied 2,030. Felicity Mendoza with 2,025. Roberto Crown Jr. and John Stout with 2,010. And then the 2 wild cards are Matthew Burnett and Angel Gutierrez with 2,000 points. So it's going to be interesting of how this whole chase works out with the chase reset and the expanded points. But Do you think that it's not really gonna matter that it's just gonna be Chris Mullins and Duncan Ward, or do you think guys like Watson, Jericho, Williams, Punk can maybe have a say in these final 8 races?
I'm not entirely sure right now, but considering who the top drivers in the chase are starting here, Parton's on the outside row, hasn't won yet. Jordan Stout, who's 10th in points, just barely made in the top 10, starts third. He has a few wins across the last 2 years. And then Matthew Burnett, which is honestly the biggest surprise of the season, was inside top 10 for most of the season and is pretty good on the 2+ mile ovals for sure. So not real surprised to see that. But on the flip side, guys like Logan Williams and Chris Martins, the points leader, are outside the top 20, and Charlie Davenport as well.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. You got a lot of chase drivers scattered throughout the field here, and you got a lot of them up towards the points starting outside of the top 20. So we gotta see how it all shakes out. Here's the top 10 for race number 17 on the season, and for the Gainbridge 300. Anthony Orlando is on the pole for his first pole of the season, and alongside him is Tanner Pullen looking for his second win in a row. Jordan Stout and Avery Alford in row number 2. Matthew Burnett and Bucky Campbell, these two have been really fast on the super speedways this year, and I believe they were good at Pocono, they were good at Michigan, and they're up front again, so they got something on these high speed racetracks here this year, and Burnett and Campbell start inside the top 10. Our defending Krispy Kreme National Series champion made it into the chase this year once again. Doesn't have a win, but he's been fairly consistent in that 8 machine of Chris Jericho and Felicity Mendoza. And then running out the top 10, David Dixon, who ran up front all race last week at Homestead, but did not make it in barely. And then alongside Miss Eli Boy, he was kind of doing a mid to late season surge here in his number 1 machine. Just outside of the top 10, you got Angel Gutierrez in the number 41. And then going through the field here, it's all jumbled up, but kind of outside the top 20, you got Charlie Davenport, Duncan Ward, Logan Williams, all right here. You got Roberto Constantine, who had one hell of a drive to make it into the chase and keep a spot at Homestead on the final restart. And then point leader Chris Mullins and Ben Watson starting deep in the field here today, so we gotta see how it all shakes out. 30 laps on tap here in the Gainbridge 300, and we will have a pit stop around lap 15 to 17 here if it stays green. One of the most famous racetracks in the world, and this is a very tricky racetrack to get around. You gotta be good in the draft, you gotta be good at making passes, mostly in turn 1 and turn 3, and we gotta see how it all shakes out. But this is the start of the chase, Matthew, and we gotta see who gets the job done. Do you think it will be a chase driver kicking it off here, or do you think a non-chase driver will win at the Brickyard?
I'm gonna say a non-chase driver wins. Give me the 24 of David Dixon. Just missed out on not only getting a win to propel himself into the chase, but has been close to being in the top 10 points pretty much all season. Wouldn't be surprised if he wins.
Absolutely. I think that's a very good pick right there. David Dixon, like you said, was top 10, top 12 in points all year. And, you know, if it was top 12 in points that made it, he would have made it. So, he's been very good all year. He starts the chase as 14th in points, second out of the best of the West behind Caleb Rose, so I would not be surprised if David Dixon gets the win here today. He's been so strong this year along with his teammate, of course, Mullins. But we have chase drivers scattered throughout the field here today, and we gotta see what ends up happening for 30 laps at the Brickyard. Pace car will dive down to pit lane. It is a cool but sunny day here at the Brickyard. 62 degrees, but the sun is out, so we gotta see what ends up happening here on a cool summer day at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Anthony Hernandez and Tampon released to the green flag, and the Season 4 Krispy Kreme National Series chase is officially underway for the Gainbridge 300 at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. What a crossover lap from the 51 of Tampon. Started outside pole, got clear from Alfred and everyone behind him, and now he's going to go to the race lead. And Hernandez leads lap number 1, but Tampon is going to go to the point here, and Tampon's one of those guys that Hernandez is going to block Alfred, but Alfred's not going to let him block, and he's going to hold up everyone behind him. And for Tampon, he just won his first race on the season last week at Homestead, and he had to hold off against one of the drivers in Logan Williams. So Tampon trying to go 2 in a row in the regular season for win and start off the chase with a win. Hernandez in second, Ralford, and here comes Burnett. What a run Burnett has been this year. Like you said, top 10 in points most of the year. Had a tough break the last couple of races in the regular season. Had to get in with a wild card, but this team has been fast on these types of racetracks, and Burnett is up to 4th after lap 2.
Yeah, definitely there. Getting by the 11 of Jordan Stout. And these are some pretty quality drivers up here that he's ahead of. Jordan Stout has been strong, especially in Cup. Chris Jericho, reigning champion there, up into 7th there as Alfred tried to get a move on the outside of Anthony Hernandez, but didn't really have the momentum there as Jericho almost piling by the 11th there, but doesn't have the momentum on the outside of 4. No, it does not. Stout clears him.
And that's the unique thing about Indianapolis Motor Speedway, especially at least with this version. When turns 1 and 2, you gotta win the bottom. 3 and 4 though, you gotta win the bottom, but if you get stuck on the high side, you can sometimes get a good one and you can maintain low positions. So it's kind of interesting of how this racetrack works out. Don't know if, you know, one end gets harsher wins or what, but it's gonna be a thing of how this all shakes out here. Lucky Campbell on the move for Bridal Ream inside the top 10. We got Kochman up here. He is almost last in points, by the way. And he's up on the move. And we saw this at Pensacola where we had some surprises and, you know, seen some here already. Juan Garcia and Kochman inside the top 10. But look at Duncanwood moving his way through the field. He started outside of the top 20, and he is already inside the top 15. Same with the 32 and the 31 of Roberto Clown Jr., Ben Watson, and Chris Mullins, and Charlie Davenport. So it's only going to be a matter of time, Charlie, till we see some of these chase drivers that started in the back today work their way up through the field.
Yeah. It's kind of surprising that almost half the chase grid is outside the top 20 in qualifying there. And unfortunately, it looks like Logan Williams hasn't really improved his position that much. Pretty sure he's outside top 30. Wow, that is really surprising there.
129
yeah, 28
last time by. So unfortunately, for you, Matthew, you got Charlie Davenport on the move, but Logan Williams is stuck in the 29th position here early on. at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Duncan Ward still on the move, but out front it is a chase rival of Tampon. Won the regular season finale at Homestead, and he is out front with Anthony Hernandez right behind him. He's been getting better and better as the season's gone on, top 16 in points right now, and he might be in contention to get a win here. Burnett in third, Avery Alford and Chris Jericho rounds out the top 10, the top 5 rather, and let me answer of how this all plays out. We are about halfway through the field window. It's around 15, 16, 17, and look at that move from the short shoot of turn 1 and turn 2, but now it's going to take second from Anthony Hernandez.
All he needs to do now is try and pull a half second off of the 51 of Tampern. But considering how good these SS Greenlight cars have been on tracks like Michigan and of course super speedways, it wouldn't really surprise me there if the 14th Matthew Burnett does try and pull away from likes of Hernandez and Avery Alford and Chris Jericho. The gap is actually 6/10 between Burnett and Tanner Parn here, so we still have a third of a way, or just under a third of the way to go.
And one thing I'm noticing is that the engine power up to 14 here is pulling this train behind them all the way back to the 27 of Felicity Mendoza, and then some. Everyone is getting reeled back in as Bucky Campbell's going to try and make a send on Chris Jericho, but we've seen it all year at Daytona, Talladega, Pensacola, Michigan, Pocono. These SS Greenlight cars have maybe the best engines at these high-speed racetracks, and that lead that Tampon had is gone, and Matthew Burnett has pulled Hernandez, Alfred, Jericho, Campbell, Dixon, Mendoza, Stout, Weem, all these guys back up to the race as we're under caution. A big wreck on turns 1 and 2.
Wreck. Oh my god. Yep, and that's both of my drivers are Eric Monco, huge damage. And
Josh O'Neilly, Logan Williams is destroyed. And that's going to make things interesting on the fuel situation, because depending on if these guys pit, it'll be lap 10 next time by. They can only go 15 to 16 laps on fuel, so they will be about 5 laps short, because it will be 20, 21 laps to go.
I wonder if there's going to be people who stay out and try and extend to the original pit cycle of lap 15, lap 16, whilst everyone else has to try and stretch it, except for the fact that they might run out with 4 laps to go or whatever.
Yeah, this is gonna be very interesting. Almost the worst time draft that's happened. If it would be 5 laps in, like on that 5 lap sits, then they would probably pit around lap 20 or 21. But with these guys and having the pits being open around lap 10 to lap 11, they're gonna be 4 or 5 laps short. So I'm not a crew chief, obviously, but I would almost stay out and just wait till lap 16 or so. But we'll see what ends up happening here. Tampon won the race back to the line right when Burnett was closing up to him.
And they're all coming in.
And looks like we are gonna have pit stops here. And Parham will lead the field down, and it looks like everyone is gonna be on pit road on lap 10.
Yeah, wouldn't have expected anything less. Honestly, there. As
that's everybody.
Tanner Parton leading everyone off of pit road. But I want to see if anyone does a different strategy. Maybe go with 2 tires instead of 4. Not sure why you would do that. Just want to see here as Parton in the middle of the pit lane, so that could be interesting.
It looks like it is 4 tires for everyone. Duncan Ward
Oh,
for I don't know about
Duncan
Duncan.
Ward.
Either Duncan got a great pit stop or he took 2 tires. It's gonna be Pun leading the field off with pit road. And we will take a look here. Did the 48 take 2 tires? Or yes, he did. He did take 2 tires. So everyone took 4. Duncan took 2, and that jumped him up all the way up to second.
I knew there was gonna be someone who was gonna try and dare a strategy like that, and of course it was Duncan Ward. Considering, not sure where Chris Martins is in terms of position, but this could be crucial. Wait, did Benny Watson stay out?
I think the 31 might have
There's
stayed
no
out.
way. There's no way he stayed out.
I think he might have some damage. I wonder if Watson was part of the crash and he stayed out. Not entirely sure. Oh, now he's gonna
Or
pit. Maybe, I don't
okay,
know. But, the 70's out, the 10 is out, the 44 is gonna be out. And I think Ben Watson does have damage in the 31 as well. So at least 3 chase drivers were involved in this wreck. And it will be taken upon leading us back to the green. Everyone took 4 tires, Duncan Wood took 2. Let's go ahead and see what happened for the first caution of the day in the Gainbridge 300. Well, we mentioned of how we are about to have pit stops on lap 15 to lap 16. This was on lap number 9. A tire failure for Benny Watson is what we got reported from. And in turn number 1, that is a terrible spot to have happen. Chris Mullins avoids it in the number 26, but unfortunately, Joshua Neely in the number 70, he does not avoid this. And he's going to run right into the back of Benny Watson here. And he's going to spin himself around right in front of Angel Gutierrez. What a wreck performance. Maybe just the tiniest tap for Gutierrez. What a wreck performance there. But this is a blind spot. This is not a good spot in the middle of the short chute. Can't really see by the smoke either. Logan Williams tried to avoid this, but he couldn't know where to go for him and Davenport. And then Davenport gets sideways. And that's going to have nowhere to go for Monaco, Duwani. And that's going to be it. Everyone else is going to avoid this. We're going to beat them with a little bit of a tap. But that was a terrible spot to have a tire failure go down in the middle of a short chute. And a tough break for all these guys. Monaco is going to be out. Same with Neely and Logan Williams. And for Logan Williams, that's a tough break. He has been top 5 in points all season. He got second at Homestead last week. And now he's going to DNF to start the chase here today at Indianapolis. Let's take another look and get back to the restart here at the Brickyard.
Okay, so Joshua Neely is coming up ahead. Doesn't realize Benny Watson has a tire go down. Runs into him and gets absolutely mollywopped by Logan Williams there. Collecting his teammate Davenport there. Eric Monaco as well. And man, tough break for 3 drivers already in the chase.
Yeah, very tough break. Watson third in points entering the chase reset. Had a tire go down when he was on the move. And nowhere to go for Davenport and Logan Williams. 3 drivers that I think would easily be in the top 6 in the chase. Especially Watson and Williams, top 5, third and 5th. And then Davenport, he's been very flashy this year with those 3 wins. Unfortunately, Monaco, Williams, and Neely are going to be done here in this one. Everyone's going to keep on going with Davenport and Watson and Duwani. We did have pit stops here. Duncan Wood is going to jump outside the top 10 to second. And it will be Taylor Pun as our race leader. Let's go ahead and get to the restart here in the chase opener in the Gainbridge 300. Welcome back to the Brickyard, and to open up the chase we have a multi-car incident in turns 1 and 2, and we already have some chase implications. Benny Watson has damage, Davenport has damage, and Logan Williams, 5th in points, is out of the race. So is Joshua Neely and Eric Monaco. those 3 cars had a lot of damage. And not entirely sure what happened. Also, you guys already have seen it. And this is going to be an interesting race to the finish, because these guys pit on lap 11. It's about 15-16 laps on fuel. And if we do the math right, that would be lap 26 to 27. So they're going to be 4 to 5 laps short on fuel, assuming this stays green to the end. So we gotta see how it all shakes out. Tampon has led the majority of the laps up to this point. And Duncan Ward, who took 2 tires, he is all the way up to the front from the middle of the field. And he starts second, Matthew Burnett in third, Avery Alford in fourth, Bucky Campbell in fifth, Chris Jericho in sixth, the 27 of Felicity Mendoza in seventh, Jordan Stout in 8th, David Dixon in 9th, and Bradley Ween rounds out the top 10. And the number 17, Margot Garcia in 11th. And there is our point leader entering this race of Chris Mullins in 12th. 13th is Roberto Palmestrini, 14th Eli Bright, 15th is Anthony Hernandez, our pole sitter. So that is the top 15 one down. 3 drivers out. We still have 33 on the lead lap. And I believe only 2 cars with damage are the 4 and the 31 of Davenport and Watson. Tampon will lead us back to the green here on lap number 14 at the line, with 2 tires of Duncan and then 4 tires for everyone else. And a great restart from Duncan, and he's actually going to go for the race lead here. So maybe this is a call of, hey, this might have another caution to it. Take 2 tires now and get the track position. Because this 48 is clearly fast to the point he goes, and Pond is getting shuffled through the field by Burnett, Alfred, and Campbell in the 07.
Yeah, and that's tough there for Parton, who was dominant early on in this race there. But how about that? Duncan Ward, who qualified outside the top 20, if I remember right, he was basically the only person to do a 2-tire stop, and for right now it's working out well with the race lead. However, he has a fast charging Matthew Burnett right behind him on his gearbox, basically in the 14 there. And doesn't look like he has momentum yet, but very, very strong result from Matthew Burnett on these large speedways as always.
Oh, he's got going off turn 4, and I will say Duncan Wood does have the fastest lap here today. So honestly, that car is fast, but the downside for him now is that he is on 2 tires. Everyone else is on 4 tires behind him, and there's not a ton of fall off, but there's enough where that might hurt him here on the long one. 8th Alfred up to 2nd, Taylor Pun back up to 3rd, Bucky Campbell in the 07, his teammates running up front, and so is the 07. They started 5th and 6th, and they are running 1st, and I believe that is 5th for Bucky Campbell, Jericho, and then you got Stout and Mendoza. And then here comes Dixon to the inside, Bradley Weem, looking for the 9th position. And how about Juan Garcia in the number 88? Not been a good year at all in either series, but he's up front inside the top 10. And Duncan Wood, he's still trying to fight back. Obviously, this 48 is really fast, but it's only going to be a matter of time, I think, where 2 tires is not going to win out over 4. But Tampon's going to fall back, and Campbell's going to get to the inside of Tampon.
And Parton's gonna lose even more ground here, considering that Chris Jericho's right behind Campbell, Jordan Stout out there, and Felicity Mendoza as well. And keep in mind, Jordan Anderson Racing, all of their cars are in the chase, which is quite impressive considering what their team owner Travis Crampton had to deal with last season.
Yeah, that's a very
But
good point.
it looks like Campbell is gonna get by Tanner Parton here for fourth position, and he's gonna have Parton's have to be careful now because David Dixon is now closing up to the 4-pack there, all the way down to 9th, as also Anthony Hernandez is currently 11th now, right behind Eli Bright. I always thought that was one girl. Oh, and hello, Chris Martins. Where have you been all race?
Oh my goodness, what a move. A dive bomb. Right into the corner panel of Bradley in 12th now for Chris Mullins. And we gotta see how it all shakes out. But, you know, how about Avery Alford? This is another guy that we gotta watch out for in this chase. Because it's kind of like last year in the JBL Cup Series when Eli Bright and Joe Lukowski missed the chase, but they were so strong in the chase that they won each won some races. I think that's the same scenario that could happen for Avery Alford and Carson Miller here in the National Series. RCR's been very fast this year, but they've had a lot of bad luck. So we gotta see if what ends up happening. But one thing I'm noticing is the 14 just has one heck of an engine. And in the corners, Avery Alford closes in, but the straightaways, the 14 pulls away massively. So Burnett might be in position to win here at the Brickyard if the strategy was out for me today. He just doubled his race lead there. Campbell all over the back bumper of Duncan Ward. Jericho inside the top 5. Stout. And here comes Stetson trying to get a 1 on Tampon. And this is going to be interesting how this all shakes out, because if this stays green, they're going to have to pit you relatively soon, only on lap 20. And probably around 25, 26 if this stays green. We will have late race pit stops here in the Gainbridge 300.
Yeah, and we are about 6 laps away from that margin there. Campbell up to 3rd now, passing Duncan Ward. Here comes Jordan Stout. Maybe looking for 5th with help from Tanner Parton. Getting by the 8 of Chris Jericho, as now Jericho's got probably fall outside the top 10 because look who's in 11th, right behind this pack. Chris Martin's in the 26. And he started back in 25th.
Oh yeah, not ideal situation for Jericho, but his teammate of Eli Bright and owner of Eli Bright, I thought he was going to let him in, but Bright did not let Jericho in, and now it looks like Jericho's going to slide in right in front of the 27 of Mendoza. So Jericho's going to go from 5th all the way back to 11th or 12th here in 1 lap, and that's what happens at the Brickyard if you get trapped on the high side here. And Jericho fell back to 11th. Parton to the inside of Duncan Wood. Now Duncan is going to get freight train on the outside. And here comes Bucky Campbell. I don't know what these two SS Greenlight cars have, but they're always so dominant on these high-speed racetracks, Matthew. All season long they won Daytona, Talladega. I don't know. No, William B won at Pensacola, but they dominated that one, especially with Bucky Campbell up front all race long. So they got something on these high-speed racetracks, and they might get a 1-2 here today.
Yeah, this is... I'm not sure how to say it other than this is basically peak DEI engine program. If I ever seen it right there. As... Yeah, and Campbell just getting by Avery Alford as... This is an interesting sight here. SS Greenlight 1-2. Imagine seeing that in real life.
Yeah, this is definitely interesting. Campbell had to move his way through Avery Alford there in turn 1. But he got the job done, and now we gotta see. No one has pitted yet. There's the injured Davenport with that Ford machine all totaled. But we shouldn't catch up to him. But I'm interested on when these guys will pit. We assume it will be around lap 25, 26, but someone could try and pit now, and they would be good to make it all the way. Mendoza to the inside of Jericho, but this is not something that we were expecting here today. I was expecting this to go caution free, honestly, and have pit stops around halfway, but we got a strategy for the race here to kick off for the chase here. Not fuel mileage, but when are you gonna pit here in the final 7 laps in this race? And how about Campbell closing in to his teammate now?
Oh yeah, and then Bucky Campbell, who is around 23rd in points, has that win at Talladega, ran top 10 at Michigan. But besides that, hasn't really had much to say in terms of either series, to be honest there. And here comes David Dixon, trying something on Tanner Parton there. And yeah, Chris Martins has in the top 10, so, and with Duncan Ward in 7th, that's gonna be very close. Or not sure how close, probably gonna be like 17 points if things stand, but I don't think things are gonna stand. We're getting closer and closer to pit cycle now.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting if how this all shakes out. I believe you're right, it will be about a 17-point difference between the top 2 of Mullins and Duncan Ward right now. I'm gonna quickly go to the back here. Has anyone decided to do something? No, not yet. So we're on lap 26, and this is what we are kind of thinking. They put on lap 11, it's about 15 to 16 on fuel. So if they're gonna pit now, it'll probably be either 26 or 27, with 4 or 5 laps to go. And it's gonna be interesting of what these guys do. Do they take 2 tires and fuel? Do they just do fuel only because it will only be 4 to 5 laps to go? And here we go. You were spot on it, Matthew. And we will have pit stops with coming 4 laps to go. A split strategy with the field. Some are pitting, some are not.
More notably here, both SS Green Lake cars are leading the field off to pit road as Avery Alford, David Dixon, and Eli Bright are leading the field on the alternate strategy here, trying to stretch it to 27 into 28. And
it looks like fuel only for everyone except Duncan Wood. He's taking left side tires because he only took 2 tires last time. So I don't like that call from Duncan Wood and all that, because everyone else, they're just taking fuel only. But Duncan Wood, he had to take left side tires. So interesting call there for Duncan. He got the strategy and the trap position, but he had to do something different than everyone else. And with it only being like 3 laps to go, I don't think it's really gonna matter. There's Benny Watson, he has damage, he's gonna stay out another lap. But everyone else is pitting here on lap number 27. And this is gonna be interesting. Everyone's gonna have worn out tires here. Watson, with his crash damage, he's at least gonna get a bonus point for lean a lap. These guys will be able to take less fuel than the first round of cars. Maybe just a lap less fuel. And Avery Alford is in. And Avery Alford is still on pit road.
Slow stop for 21.
Slow stop for Avery Alford. Dixon will win the race off pit road of the second group. And where is the race leader? There is Burnett in the 14. Dixon and Burnett. Can Burnett get there, or will Dixon? Nope, it will be Burnett.
Oh, there he goes. There goes Burnett. There goes Campbell.
So it will be Dixon up to 3rd now for the number 24. Watson is now in the number 31. Trying to salvage something here, but I don't know how much, because these two are already off of turn number 4. What a job that these two have done at these super speedway engine type racetracks, I guess you can say. These high speed engine tracks, they've been bad fast all year. 2 laps to go, some late race fuel stop, and Burnett is going to be the race leader. The 07 in second, Dixon in third, George Stout in fourth, Chris Mullins up to fifth now. Eli Blight, Anthony Hernandez, Tanner Pun, Felicity Mendoza, Chris Jericho, and Roberto Crown Jr. I believe will be the top 11, top 10. Zane Davison's gonna get a good one here today. How about that for the number 91 machine? It's gonna get top 13 out of this.
Yeah, definitely there. And like I've been saying, Zane Davidson should definitely be getting a better ride next year. For sure, as here comes Matthew Burnett and Bucky Campbell to the white flag.
The power one to go is out, and for SS Greenlight is going to be a 1-2 finish here today. And I gotta agree, they have the best engine program all season. But the bad thing for these guys is I think this might be the last high-speed track that we go to, because we got Wolfsboro, Richmond, Gateway, Chicagoland, Nashville, Watkins Glen, and Atlanta. So this is the last high-speed track that we go to, I believe, for this season. But they're gonna get another win. Burnett won 2 times, Cecilia Campbell won 1, and Matthew Burnett is gonna join a club that only one other driver has. Burnett has won, Davenport has won 3 times, and now Burnett will kick off the chase with win number 3 on the season.
Wow. Someone tell me at the start of the season that SS Greenlight would have 4 races at this point of the season. Most people would call them crazy, but that's exactly what's happening.
Oh yeah, Burnett won Daytona, I believe Burnett won at Michigan, and now Burnett has won at Indy, and then Bucky Campbell won at Talladega. So they have 4 wins on these engine high-speed racetracks, and this is very impressive. And like, I don't know how well it's gonna look out for the rest of the chase for Burnett, because he only has 5 top 5s and 5 top 10s compared to Chris Mullins with 12. But a win's a win, and for Matthew Burnett, that is 3 wins now on the season, and is number 14. And it is a upset. A wild card driver kicks off with a win in race 1 of the chase. Campbell in second, Dixon, Stout, and Mullins the top 5.
Well, things definitely got interesting there at the end, but once Matthew Burnett got to the race lead, it was pretty hard to beat him there. Shout out to Chris Martins here with a top 5 finish to salvage from 25th on the grid. Only got up to about 10th, 9th or so, but was able to time pit cycle perfectly to get 5th. But on the flip side, Duncan Ward botched his pits strategy there to finish 13th behind Zane Davidson. And even Roberto Crown Jr., who we barely mentioned this race.
Yeah, that was very unfortunate. Honestly, I think it was the right call initially. Duncan was up front with that 2-tire call when everyone else took 4. But then with 4 or 5 laps to go when everyone took 3 only, Duncan had to take left side tires because those were on the car for 25, 26 laps. And he had to take 2 left side tires, and that hurt him. And unfortunately for Avery Alpha, we saw he had a slow stop for some reason, and he fell back to 16th. But very interesting race here at the Brickyard. But it wasn't too wacky with the strategy though. Everyone took 3 only besides Duncan Wood, and Burnett ends up getting the race win. Campbell, Dixon, Stout, Mullins, Blight. That's another good one for him. He got a good one at Homestead last week, so it's not been a great season, but Eli Blight's starting to get better here in the National Series. Fernandez, Posa gets top 10, Tanner he was inside the top 10 all day. And then shout out to these three, Mendoza and Crown Jr. in particular. We didn't really see him all day today, but they got 9th and 11th, and then Jericho for top 10. He was top 5 all day. And then shout out to Zan Davison, like I said, he deserves a better ride for sure. Going into next year, hopefully. With the new driver limit, I guess I can say, of how we're limiting drivers to 1 series next year. Maybe that'll open up some opportunities for Zane Davison. Ward, Garcia, and Kochma for the top 15. Not been a good season for Kochma, but gets the top 15 here. 8th left for Kyle Cleveland, Alexander Lowe, Ayers, and Carson Miller. And a not good day for Angel Gutierrez in 23rd. Ben Watson, he had crash damage. He gets 26th here, gained a few spots with pitting rate. And then obviously Davenport, he had crash damage, and Logan Williams is going to be the only chase driver today in the garage, and he's joined Joshua Neely and Eric Monaco. But what a topsy-turvy race here at the Brickyard. This was all over the place here, and what a rate to kick off race 1 of the chase with some far thoughts, Matthew, as we head to North Wilkesboro next week for the series with 2.5 to 3 seconds of tire fall off.
North Wilkesboro, this is definitely going to be the real start of the chase. See who has the best strategy, who has best cars. It's going to be a driver-dependent track. Maybe it could help guys like Chris Martins shine more. Or maybe Chris Jericho, who still hasn't won yet after all this time. Or even it could help out someone like Jordan Stout, who was the 10th seed going into this round.
Yeah, Jordan Stout, we didn't really talk about him that much, but Hulk's gotten better, obviously, as the season's gone on. Hernandez and Jordan Stout was strong today. Hernandez has been strong the last several races. And we gotta see, maybe Jordan Stout can sneak his way into a title shot. We don't really know. But the last time we were at North Wilkesboro last year was all over the place with the racing, with the tire strategy. And we got that same tire again. You gotta manage the tires next week at North Wilkesboro for both series. And that's gonna be a heck of a lot of fun. But thanks for Matthew Hubert for joining me up here in the booth in a topsy-turvy race here. Matthew Burnett gets the win, is still in on the season, and through 17 races, we only have 2 drivers with 3 wins, Charlie Davenport and Matthew Burnett. Congratulations to Matthew Burnett on win number 3, and here are the points after chase race number 1 in the Season 4 Krispy Kreme National Series. Until next week at North Wilkesboro, and until tomorrow, for the Gainbridge Brickyard 400 and the JBL Cup Series. We'll see you guys next time here in the Krispy Kreme National Series.